Hey, I'm Allison from Learning at the Primary Pond. I'm a literacy specialist, and in this video, I'm going to debunk 3 common myths about the writing workshop model that just are not true. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, make sure to do that now and hit the little bell so that you're notified every time I post a brand new video about teaching literacy in K2. Okay, so first let's talk about what the writing workshop model is. Now, I'm going to give my definition. This can vary a little bit, right, depending on how it's implemented, but the way I see writing workshop is that, generally speaking, the entire class is working on writing projects within one genre or focused on like one skill area, but then the kids are choosing individual topics, not necessarily that everyone is writing on the same topic all the time. So for example, the whole class might be working on nonfiction books, but one kid's working on a book about soccer, and another kid's working on a book about parrots, and another kid's working on a book about dogs. So they get to choose topics within that overall genre. Now, of course, the teacher is teaching a mini lesson at the beginning of the writing block on a specific skill, but it's related to that genre that everybody's working on. And there's usually a lot of modeling of writing in front of the kids that's part of these mini lessons. After that, the students go off and they have daily writing time. So they're practicing, they're working again within that genre. And then they're kind of also working through the writing process at their own pace. So if you were to just appear in a writing workshop classroom, you might see some kids like brainstorming ideas or getting ready to write a piece. Other kids might be in the middle of a writing piece. Other kids might be finishing up. So not everybody is at the exact same point, simply for the fact that number 1, kids work at different paces, and number 2, some writing projects that a child might choose might be shorter or longer than like another topic that another child chooses. So that's kind of what it looks like. And then finishing early doesn't exist in the workshop model because, once a child finishes a book or a piece of writing on one topic, they then move on to write another piece on a different topic that's still within that genre. So with the informational writing example, maybe they were working on a book about dogs and they finish that and then they move on to writing a book about baseball. It's still informational writing within that genre, but it's just a different topic. Also in the workshop model, students have opportunities to collaborate, to share their work with others, ideally to self-assess, and also to do like some peer revising and editing. So there's that kind of like community and social aspect of it as well. And then like with a unit, for example, the informational writing, it could last a couple of weeks. It could also last a couple of months. It just kind of depends on, how broad the genre is and what you're having the kids do within that genre. So that's how I define the writing workshop model. Again, it can kind of look different from classroom to classroom, but I would love to hear in the comments right now, do you do the workshop model? Do you do more like specific writing prompts, or is there something else that you do? So right now type workshop, prompts, or other, and feel free to share if you do something that's a little bit different. Would love to hear from you. Okay, so now let's get into these 3 myths that aren't true. Myth number 1 is that in the writing workshop model, students don't learn about sentence structure or grammar. It's just kind of their writing and it's, accepted whatever they write. This is not true, okay? Of course, it depends on how it's implemented, but as the teacher in the workshop model, ideally you're doing tons of modeling, right? You're having specific mini lessons on sentence structure, on using capitalization, punctuation, correct grammar. And not all of your mini lessons are on those topics. Sometimes you're working on like ideas or teaching kids how to organize their writing. But at least with my writing workshop units, those grammar and conventions lessons are infused throughout. So students are consistently working on that. You as the teacher are also sitting down with them one-on-one or maybe even in a small group to help them improve their writing in those areas. And then also one thing that I find is really helpful is to give kids like an editing checklist. This comes from my free writing folder tools. I will make sure that we include a link for you so you can download this for free. But anyway, with the editing checklist, there are certain things that the kids are expected to review their own writing for every time they finish a piece of writing. And then I also like to do partner editing where the kids read their writing to each other. I don't have them read each other's work just because I work with the K2 crowd. And at those ages, a lot of times the kids can't read each other's writing. So they read their writing to each other and then they use a checklist to go over it and help each other improve. of course, you as the teacher too. I don't make sure that every single piece of writing my students create in the workshop model is 100% correct, because I simply don't have time for that. But at least one piece of writing, sometimes two, sometimes like the middle of the unit and the end of a unit, depending on how long it is, we may publish a piece of writing. And so with that piece, I do provide them with, more in-depth work and feedback. But this myth is just not true, that it's like, students are just writing whatever. Like, yes, we do encourage students to write as much as they can. And we do I encourage process over outcome. So like, I want them to feel comfortable expressing their ideas in writing, and I don't tell them to stop, or I don't get real upset if their grammar or sentence structure isn't perfect, because I know that it's just part of the developmental process and we work on it over time. That said, writing workshop is absolutely not devoid or divorced from grammar and sentence structure. They absolutely work hand in hand. Okay, so myth number 2 comes from something you might see if you look at student examples of writing in the workshop model. You might see that some of the words are misspelled. And so myth number 2 is that students are not learning how to spell correctly in the writing workshop model. Not true at all. They absolutely are getting opportunities to practice and work on spelling. The way I do it, I have a separate like phonics or word work block where we are really, really focusing on spelling and how sounds work and letters and all that good stuff. So that's separate from the workshop model. However, kids need opportunities to practice that. And that's exactly what they get in the workshop model. They're coming up with words they want to write. It's not my job as the teacher to come and spell everything for them. It's their job to like stretch out the word, listen for the sounds. And then when we're working on things like digraphs, for example, in phonics, then they are expected to use that knowledge. And we talk about getting them to apply what they're learning in phonics to their writing. This is an opportunity for them to practice and apply, because that's really where the rubber hits the road, right? We can teach them these spelling rules, but if they don't have opportunities to practice and apply, then they're probably never going to master them. Now, I also, as part of my writing workshop lessons, I do include plenty of opportunities for kids to, number one, see me use invented spelling and see me apply phonics knowledge to spelling words. I don't always model correct spelling. I want them to see the process of like just doing your best, listening for the sounds you hear. So I really model that a lot. But I do also teach them how to use tools like this alphabet chart. I tell them, okay, like my kindergartners, you want to write the word lemon, for example. Let's stretch it out. What do you do first? Oh, okay, find a picture that starts like oh. Oh, that's a leaf. That means you need to write the letter L. So this is a great tool for them. And then you can do more complex stuff too. Like I have a blends and digraphs chart. I have a vowel chart, because the vowels can be super tricky. So these are free. They're in my free writing folder tools, and I'll make sure to include a link for that at the bottom. So you're giving them tools and you're teaching them how to apply their phonics and spelling knowledge during the writing workshop model. Yes, there's going to be misspelled words, but that is all part of the learning process. Okay, so the last myth number 3, is that writing workshop is basically just a free-for-all. Kids are kind of writing whatever they want. You may be teaching mini lessons, but they may or may not be applying it. Some kids are just kind of like sitting there. They can't come up with ideas. Can this happen? Yes, but when the writing workshop model is well implemented, it doesn't happen, because you're teaching them how to brainstorm ideas. You're supporting them. You're specifying the genre, which helps narrow it down. There's a consistent schedule. You have a mini lesson. Students work on writing. Teachers meet with the kids in one-on-one and or in small groups. And it's all about continuous improvement. So taking them where they are and saying, okay, what is the next right step for this student, and how do we get them there, basically. You're doing lots of modeling, right? Again, there's the genres that help narrow things down. When you teach a skill, what I like to do is not just cross my fingers and hope that the kids will apply it. What I like to do is say, okay, we worked on the skill, go to your seat, get out your writing folder. They take out their writing folder. They have on the red side of their folder work that is work that they've finished, and then we're on the green side of their folder, they have work in progress. And so I'll say, okay, we talked about adding transition words. I want you to take out a piece of writing, doesn't matter your green or red side, and I want you to right now work with your partner, work with somebody sitting next to you to write or to add transition words to your writing. So we worked on that skill, whole group. Now it's time for them to sit down, add transition words, and then yes, for the rest of the writing time, they can pick up wherever they were and continue writing on topics that they've chosen about. But there is that kind of like guided practice opportunity for them to apply what they're learning. Writing workshop is very structured, and even though there is student choice, which is very motivating, by the way, there is structure and there is, there's goal setting, there's ways for teachers to see growth and get kids applying what they've been teaching. The writing workshop model can be very effective, and I hope that what I've shared in this video is helpful. However, there's so much more to teaching writing, especially in K2 when it can be hard for kids, hard to build their independence. So I do have a free workshop, and actually as part of the workshop, you're gonna get this little free writing folder tool set with what I've shown you here, but actually there's even more in there. So if you want access to that webinar to be able to view it and also get these freebies, look for the link below to learn more. Again, I hope this was helpful. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.